And you know, they've only picked up, what, 4 maps so far.
Well,
so
that is the same for both of these two teams, Ben. I mean, if you were to look at
what a world.
all the teams this season on paper and sort of rank them where you thought that they would be, I at least probably would have put Mindfreak in the top 4 at the very start of the season. Are they going to be there now after my opinions have been shaped by a few games? Maybe not. Maybe Atletico's sort of taking that. Maybe Ground Zero's taking that. But a win here today for Mindfreak certainly puts them back in that discussion. And again, the same for Sydney Drop Bears.
Well, unlike what we saw yesterday, today we're going to kick this off with very similar team compositions. A lot what we were used to seeing in Season 1. And, well, past the first one down, that leaves Aki open, and Sydney Drop Bears will find themselves that first fight win.
Yeah, now getting super high energy early in that fight, really being able to put a lot of damage back on through. You can see he's up to 55%. He was 20% ahead of Addy for a fair chunk of that fight. So being able to break that shield a little bit quicker, and Bus obviously having some problems as a result. 70% up for Dreamer as well, so he's about 10% ahead of Bus. Things are looking pretty good for Sydney Drop Bears here.
Dreamer, quite a long distance forward save there by the bubble coming out, of course, but now that that's used, life could be a little bit tougher. We'll see how they engage. Still being quite aggressive, slowly forced back. Once more, the rally going to come out from Winter. This might allow the Drop Bears to get aggressive once again, and they will. Mindfreak going to lose a couple of players and fall back towards their spawn. Now at 35% for the Drop Bears. They're starting to stack their ultis.
Yeah, Rally's such a great ultimate in a situation like that. It doesn't really seem like it's going to have as much of an impact as something like a Transcendence or a Sound Barrier or what have you. But when it's a fairly dry fight like that, it's the tiny little bit of an advantage that Sydney Drop Bears need to be able to push over Mindfreak. You could see how aggressive it allowed Winter to play, pushing forward and getting the advantage for them.
See Yang on top of the high ground, ready to go with the Graviton Surge as well. Throws it through, not bad. Self-destruct from Kiki also. Oh, nice. Kiki picks up Dreamer, and Yang actually, Aki going to save the rest of the Mindfreak team there, coming through with Transcendence. For the Sydney Drop Bears, you can see that there were no defensive ultimates used by them, so they will give up the point. Nice use of the ultimates there by Mindfreak to get that across the line.
Definitely have to give a bit of credit to Bus in that one as well for getting a nice shatter through onto a couple of the members. That's what really set up the Diva Bomb there for Kiki. As you could see, both Kiki and Shoyo had actually dropped their bomb right next to each other, but Bus, he kind of had the balls to throw the Earth Shatter down right next to a self-destruct that was about to explode. And it opens it up for Mindfreak. So now they control the point, but a lot of catching up to do here.
Dreamer getting quite low. Addy this time on the high ground with quite a lot of energy. 100 right now, you can see. And Dreamer will eventually go down to Swilko. The Drop Bears would need to trade Mac very quickly. They won't. It's going to be Shoyo getting D-Mech there by Kiki. And now you can see that Mindfreak are just starting to catch up. They're getting their rhythm back. And of course, when you're in that sort of advantageous position, Jordan, if the teams are actually quite close, it can be difficult for your opponents to turn it around.
Yeah, that's certainly right. 2 support ultimates, though, the advantage that Sydney Drop Bears have in their back pocket. So even despite the fact that Mindfreak may have more to throw into this one, the support ultimates can be used effectively to shut the fight down.
Dreamer coming out aggressive once again, throws out the shatter, does not hit anyone. Winter has used the rally. Also, Addy got low, but is healed up, throws out the grab. The beat dropped there by Swilko. Self-destruct from Kiki in the middle, won't find any picks. August pops the rally of their own there. The Drop Bears now have used up all of their ultimates, has had Mindfreak. Well, actually, Aki sitting there waiting potentially to see what Yang comes out with and when that grab is free. But Mindfreak will win themselves another fight win. I think that's maybe 3 from 3. They've
3 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, they've gone through. So this is going to be a crucial fight now for the Drop Bears.
And as well, crucially for Mindfreak, Aki's able to build the Transcendence in that fight. And as you mentioned, Yang, with the Graviton Surge, was going to be like the linchpin for Sydney Drop Bears if he threw it in that last fight. Didn't get up in time, saves it through here. But at least Mindfreak have the counterplay according to what they've got with that Transcendence.
Shoyo self-destruct coming through, but Dreamer's going to go down. As I say that, so does Swilko. But I think at this point, you'd probably rather have your tank. Never mind the Sydney Drop Bears. Lose another, that Yang going down. And as we head through to overtime here, it's only a matter of time, to be honest. And Mindfreak going to come out with the first round here on Bussard.
That did look a little bit messy from Sydney Drop Bears, didn't it? Well, that's an interesting time to pause, because I think the game's over. Yeah. Anyway, the interesting, like that last final fight was a little bit weird because like the Diva Bomb goes through, and you sort of expect for Sydney Drop Bears to kind of follow up on the result of that. And then it seemed like Dreamer was kind of doing that, but he was on his own, and then he got picked off, and then the grab had to get thrown in by Nyang because he's like, oh, well, I have to turn this fight around. This is the last one.
Yeah,
I have to try and do something.
Got to put it down.
Wasn't really the grab that he was looking for because there's no follow-up. You've obviously got the trans there. It seemed like Mindfreak were playing accordingly around that.
Yeah.
Didn't see too many people getting really particularly low for Mindfreak there. So it just seemed like a bit of a messy sort of execution from Sydney Drop Bears in the final fight there, which is probably not what you want to be seeing. I mean, maybe part of the reason for that is obviously they've got 2 Koreans on their roster. They've got the rest of the guys coming from Australia or New Zealand, so being primarily English speakers and primarily Korean speakers. Though, to my understanding, Nyang was brought in partly due to the fact that he has really good comms, and he speaks really good English. So I don't know if that's really
better than us, to be honest.
Probably. But whatever the case, I don't know if that was a miscommunication or just poor execution.
I'm not sure if there was a disconnect there as well. I think that's where the pause come out, but I'm not sure whether the disconnect was at what point in the fight. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to change the result now. Mindfreak is going to pick up that first round. And that puts them in a really good position for the map. And to be fair, I mean, like, look, okay, maybe there was disconnect in the final fight, but Mindfreak did win 3 fights in a row up to that point. So it kind of leads me to believe that this is going to be a pretty close matchup, whichever way you throw it, because those 2 teams kind of going backwards and forwards. It's just whoever's got the momentum at the right time, who's got the right ultimates at any given time, and is able to take advantage of that and build that momentum into whatever situation they're in. Yeah. Potentially going to win this map and match.
Well, that's it, right? So the thing for me here is that we've talked about it a couple of times now. Those 3 or 4 fight wins in a row coming out from Mindfreak, quite often at this level, we'll see it go back and forward. But in this situation, Mindfreak lost the first fight, pulled back, came back through, I think lost the second fight to the rally. But then they managed to turn it around, and once they had control, they never let go.
Well, it was off the back of the big shatter from Bus into the self-destruct from Kiki.
The big bus plays, I might say.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So, once you get a big moment like that, and if, in particular, again, fairly expensive because you cost 2 ultimates, but pretty fast charging one being an Earth Shatter, and I guess self-destruct in some instances, you'd be pretty happy to get 2 out of a self-destruct. In fact, in probably most instances, you'd probably be pretty happy with that. So I think for them, that was like a fairly economic fight for Mindfreak, and that was able to sort of boost their economy going later into the subsequent fights, and that's really where you see them start to find the advantages.
That's what they're doing, and they're doing well. This is what a crazy world we're in Season 2 of Contenders, where Mindfreak and the Sydney Drop Bears could be quite a close matchup, and I think that's what we're going to get today. I don't want to get too far ahead, but the initial signs are actually pretty exciting.
Well, this Mindfreak team has kind of been on the up and up. When we first saw them come into Contenders, we were thinking, all right, well, maybe they're sort of sitting somewhere around Legacy, seeing what they're going to be able to do. And then they obviously were able to beat Legacy for the playoffs position. And further and further on, as we now get to this iteration of Mindfreak, plus a couple of roster changes, obviously having brought in Bustol and August 9th for this season.
Only half the team.
Yeah, I mean, but still, you've kind of got the core roster through there with some pretty welcome additions. I think there's no question that Bust is an upgrade for this Mindfreak roster. Zol is or Kiki, I guess he's been called himself now again this season, is definitely an upgrade for this roster. August 9th for Slidzor J, I sort of feel like on paper, to me, those two seem to be fairly on par, although, again, I don't know the intricacies of each individual player, how they fit into the team, that kind of thing. So maybe that's an upgrade. But overall, it feels like to me these roster changes have certainly been an upgrade for Mindfreak. So from last season, where they were considered, okay, maybe just a bit of a fringe playoff team, now they're kind of considered probably a fringe top 4 team if they perform well, which I don't know if I'm really prepared to say just yet that they have. A win over Ground Zero is good, but then they lost 4-0 to Warriors. So this week, again, as you say, is going to be a big tell for us as far as Mindfreak is going to go. But they definitely have the players on the roster that can push the issue and make it into the top 4.
I think the thing, right, is that they were already good, as you said. So if they're already good and the trades that they're making, the roster changes they made, can all be considered essentially an upgrade for those positions, then if they can come together as a team like the previous team did, you'd expect that they would theoretically get better results.
Yeah, and you can't necessarily say the same thing for Sydney Drop Bears, unfortunately. Like, when you look across at their roster, you say, okay, Winter for Huss. I don't know, probably most people would be looking towards Huss, or I mean, I guess in this instance, it'd be Winter for CKM, because that's the same role that they're playing. I think in that instance, most people would probably be saying CKM did hit a higher level than Winter. Don't get me wrong, Winter's a great player, and he's definitely on the up and up, having improved every single team that he's been in over the last few seasons, but I don't necessarily think that's an upgrade. Player for player for Sydney Drop Bears, Nyang for Huss in that instance. Again, you don't really know. We haven't seen that much from Nyang just yet. I don't think it's necessarily fair to say that that's a straight upgrade at all.
It's not like getting 3 Husses and then combining them to one 2-star Huss, right?
Yeah,
it's,
that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you're not guaranteed that it's going to be better.
Definitely not. I mean, same can be said for Dreamer and getting rid of Chrono or Titawatt or whoever you may have had in that previous position. I mean, obviously you've got Shoyo coming through from previous seasons. You've got a Kraken coming through from previous seasons. And Fluoro for Bertlog. Again, Bertlog was definitely considered one of the best main supports in the region. So, I'm struggling to say that that's necessarily an upgrade for Sydney Drop Bears. And I think you are seeing that in the gameplay that we're seeing from Sydney Drop Bears as well, is that this roster, while it doesn't look bad, and it still kind of looks like it could probably be a top 4 roster this season, it doesn't seem like it's going to hit that same level that previous Sydney Drop Bears iterations have.
Though I guess the question, right, is it feels like no one's necessarily, maybe the Warriors as a standout, everyone else feels like they don't have the same momentum that they had in Season 1. For those of you playing along at home, just got a very quick pause here. Everyone just jumping back into the server. I'm assured we'll be underway in just a moment. But this season, for me, I think it's going to be peculiar, right? Coming into Season 1 2019, we were like, look, this is going to be close, but maybe this is Order's season, right? It was all about where are the Drop Bears going to sit? How is Order going to do? We're blank now, Warriors, how their sort of rise, their sort of comeback from an average maybe Season 3 of 2018, and all sort of came together. This season, whilst we expect you can't have the same expectations necessarily.
I feel like this season's a bit more of a rebuilding phase for a lot of teams. The only team that hasn't made a change was Order, and there's very few teams that have made like insignificant changes, right? If that makes sense. So the majority of teams have sort of made 3 or more changes, which is like half your roster. So it's almost unfair to say that it's the same kind of a team, even though the core does kind of come through. So, we obviously had very, very distinct storylines in 2018, going with Sydney Drop Bears, that dynasty, Order, Darksided trying to chase them and trying to catch them. No one really being able to do that. And then finally into Season 1, 2019, new year, new me for Order being able to finally topple the Sydney Drop Bears. And then all of a sudden, this really what this season should have been about was about Order solidifying their dynasty.
Yes, that's right.
And they haven't hit that mark. They haven't been able to go from Season 1 into Season 2.
It's not even that they haven't hit that mark.
They haven't hit any marks.
They haven't hit the mark of Order Season 3 2018. Like, this isn't just like, oh, show us what you did at the start of this year and just do it again and just, find those little bits and pieces that you want to just get a little bit better and, go all the way once more. But not the case, certainly. Anyway, we're back into game and we won't even see the last percent.
Well, technically it did tick over, Ben. It was at 100 to 99. So
I don't even know who won. I'm not even sure, Jordan. No, it
was Mindfreak.
It was definitely Mindfreak, as you can see up there on the scoreboard as well. So we are back into things. 12 players in the server. That's what we like to see. We'll get this one underway. Get the hype back up. Mindfreak, 1 round away from being 1 map up in this series. And, well, what a heck of a start that would be, Elfishguy.
Yeah, it would be a very, very interesting start to the series, which would kind of turn it on its head a little bit, although it wouldn't be hugely unexpected. Mindfreak have got the ability, they've got the capability to beat Sydney Drop Bears here today, but we've said that about lots of teams in the past, and it's never really eventuated. Maybe Mindfreak can finally do it.
Look at this Kiki sitting up on top of the drum, playing that off angle and not doing a bad job, to be honest. But Mindfreak seems to have taken a little bit of damage. The point is now available for capture, and the question is which of the 2 tanks goes down first. It's going to be Dreamer. That's what Mindfreak G wanted to see. Yep. You can see a very healthy looking team as Bus does take a little bit of a stun there coming out from the brig, but it does not matter.
Yep.
The capture that was going towards the Drop Bears will now start changing it up, and Mindfreak should come away with the first points on the board.
You would much rather be seeing that stun go into Bus when he's at full HP than anyone else, because if the shield goes down, the shield is broken there for Bus. Yeah, sure, that's going to allow the Brigida shield bash to come on through. there's no Earth Shatter or anything like that to follow it up for Sydney Drop Bears that early in the game, and it's really just, I mean, it's kind of like a wet noodle.
Annoying. Yeah.
It's a wet noodle, really, at that point.
Yeah.
So Bus has no problems. The rest of the team's not taking any damage, not getting CC'd, and that's exactly what you want to see.
Winter uses the rally. Addy comes through with the Graviton Surge. Let's see how much damage Mindfreak can do. A Kraken's going to keep the team alive, however. And look at this, Kiki does stop Nyang's grab, so that's a very big play. Self-destruct also not going to find anyone now with Addy going down and Swilko dropping the beat after the fact. You have to ask yourself, is this play going to go in the way of the Drop Bears?
It certainly seems like it was. That's a very, very nice Earth Shatter that was collected by Dreamer. And Mindfreak, they started the fight off, obviously, on their own terms, getting the Graviton Surge down early, but Sydney Drop Bears able to dance around that and also dance around the self-destruct, plus electing not to invest the Earth Shatter, and just does get caught off guard by Dreamer using his. Wasn't able to block it. That was the key defining moment there for Sydney Drop Bears that's allowed them to turn it around. But, you know, 49% up there for Mindfreak.
Not bad.
It's not bad. You'll be happy with that.
Not bad.
And they save a couple of ultimates through as well here, where Sydney Drop Bears, they don't have anything just yet to work with. Obviously, if Kraken now comes up on Transcendence, Nyang very close by to Graviton Surge. But if Earth Shatter goes down early here, potentially if it collects a Kraken, I mean, that's the fight over before it begins.
It is indeed looking for big plays once again from Bast. Hit Shoyo, that's not bad, but a Kraken saves the day once more. Aki counters with a Transcendence of his own. 6 alive for both teams, but it's going to be the Drop Bears with the ultimate advantage. There's the grab, but it doesn't go anywhere. Shoyo deciding not to invest the self-destruct just yet. There we go, throws it out, looking for picks. I'm not sure we're going to find any. The Drop Bears with 2 big ultimates, finding absolutely nothing right now. Having said that, they're still up to 50%. The grab now going to come out from Mindfreak. Let's see if Kiki can get the plays. There we go. That's your fight over.
Yeah, exactly. You just were waiting for it, weren't you? As soon as those Sydney Drop Bears players, I mean, the Graviton Surge in particular, once that misses, that really shifts the fight away from, okay, Sydney Drop Bears are going to win this, to, oh, maybe there's a chance for Mindfreak if they can last a little bit longer in this fight, get the Graviton Surge out, get the Self-Destruct out, which is what they do. And they're able to make a really, really nice combo. There must have been someone in there being able to get Dreamer out of the way, because that shield did not help at all against the Self-Destruct. Still, it's a pretty expensive fight for Mindfreak when it comes to those big playmaking ultimates, but they do have double support ultimates come through in this fight, so that's a lot of sticking power. That's really what they need here at 80%. Stick through to 99%, and the war of attrition really can continue against Sydney Drop Bears, which is what has been paying off for Mindfreak so far.
Yeah, the Sydney Drop Bears only going to have a Kraken in that Transcendence to work with for now. There comes the Shatter through, doesn't find anyone. The beat dropped by Swilko, so everyone on Mindfreak with a little bit more HP to work with will eventually subside, and they haven't gained much from it, but Dreamer turns the fight around. There we go. Mindfreak will lose this fight at 99%, and now they're going to have to bring it back and fight onto the point once more. The Drop Bears will capture it. Let's see how long they can hold it.
Very unfortunate situation there for Mindfreak, because Swilko had to throw in the sound barrier, and that means now that they're going up against the 2 support ultimates where they only have 1, they're still trying to catch up when it comes to Graviton Surge. Self-Destruct also not there, so Sydney Drop Bears actually have a really great ult economy to hold on this next fight, and maybe that's all that they need to do. At 70% already, Mindfreak doesn't actually have that much time to be messing around here. I think this is the last fight of the round.
Yeah, it's getting very close. It really does depend. Mindfreak, if they lose this, they need to lose it almost immediately, Jordan. Kiki sitting on top of the drum. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner that self-destruct needs to be a big one. Managed to somehow grab the Graviton Surge out as well. The self-destruct is used. It doesn't find anyone.
Too late.
Bust somehow finds Dreamer. To be fair, Dreamer was quite low as he's caught up there in the Graviton Surge. Even though they did not have that self-destruct to work with, Jordan, it didn't matter. Shatter comes through. Does that seal the deal?
I think it certainly will. If not that, then it was going to be the Graviton Surge. Kiki being able to eat that once again. Yang has not been able to have much fun at all. We'll talk about that in a second, because the round's still not yet over, Ben. But for all intents and purposes, it does feel as though this is a Mindfreak 2-0. It's a case of
I'm going to call it now.
Doing the janitorial duties and cleaning up the remainders. The flip does come across, and finally, Mindfreak will secure it. Doomfist just not quite being able to get there in time. Swilko will drop the beat in celebration. And Mindfreak wins the first map, 2-0.
They do indeed. What a surprising result, to be perfectly honest. I thought might be a little bit closer. To be fair, the second time around was 99-99, but that last fight very much in the favour of Mindfreak G.
Exactly. I want to touch on that last fight as well. Kiki. That's 2 Graviton Surges eaten in the 1 round. Nyang missed the Graviton
the
Surge
other
that he
one,
actually
right?
got out.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, the Graviton Surge, by the way, is such a huge ultimate when it comes to these 3-3 matchups, because that's where you find your ability to sort of cleave through all of those targets with the Reinhardt, lock everyone up for the self-destruct. It is the playmaker for the Ghost composition.
It forces out your opponents as well to use those
Transcendences,
defensive
etc.
ultimates, you know. And if they don't have to use them because you've whiffed it or it gets eaten up by that defense matrix, then they've got a whole nother fight, essentially, they can work their way through.
So definitely a lot of credit to Kiki for at least the second round there of Busan. But also I think you have to look at Nyang on the side of that and say, okay, well, he's probably not having the game that he really needs to here for Sydney Drop Bears if they are going to win this one. Addy certainly being able to get his Graviton Surges out and being able to collect on some bank from that. But Nyang definitely need to look to improve in the next few rounds.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been the ultimate usage that they were looking for, that's for sure. And honestly, I feel like a lot of, particularly here on this second round, it was the use of ultimates. Look at that charge coming out from Bus as well, clearing the way, allowing the damage to be done again. Kiki, look at this, every time Bus coming through with the charge, that's the same play.
Yeah, it's like looking back at Heist.
Yeah, it's great. This is what you want to see. Clear your path. That's it. Makes life easy.
Certainly.
Bus with some big Bus plays this game.
Yeah,
sure.
to be fair though, Dreamer was able to put a couple of nice Earth Shatters down there as well. So, sure, credit to Bus. He's hit a couple of nice Earth Shatters. He's been able to get that nice charge across into the self-destruct. So, I feel like he's doing a good job of his ability usage and being able to have an impact in that respect. But he's also not really doing a great job of stopping Dreamer with those Earth Shatters. Twice now we've seen Dreamer with really solid Earth Shatters. So, it kind of is a bit of a tug of war as to which Reinhardt can make more of an impact, rather than which Reinhardt can negate more of an impact, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. To be fair, though, Mindfreak, going to be happy with that one. You know, in previous seasons, it would have been, can they get a map from the Sydney Drop Bears?
It was, if you remember, Mindfreak versus Sydney Drop Bears, 2 seasons in a row, if I'm correct, the first match of the season. And it's not a fun place to be.
It is not a fun way to start the season.
But
that's for
now
sure.
the tables certainly have turned. And in fact, with that win there on Busan, you think, okay, well, Mindfreak have definitely shown that in the 3-3 matchup, which is what we expect to see for the majority of this series, they actually might have an advantage.
It's odd for me to see that we are back to 3-3 for this particular game when it feels like a lot of the other matches we've seen so far have varied and strayed away from that. We'll see now as we do head to Temple of Anubis what that's going to look like. Yesterday, some very interesting team comps came out, a lot of bunker play. I think there was like some triple DPS play or something coming out as well. How that translates to these two teams on this particular map could be a different story.
Definitely could. Well, for Temple of Anubis, I think we are going to be seeing something a little bit different than just the 3-3. But what is that going to be? Nyang, we saw a little bit last week on Paris playing the Widowmaker. Again, I wasn't hugely impressed with that, so I don't know if that's going to be brought out again for Sydney Drop Bears. Maybe it was just, you know, a poor day, or whether they've decided, okay, that's not really what we want to opt for. We're going to try and go for more of a standard 3-3S kind of a composition. Definitely Widowmaker is something you can expect to see at times on Temple of Anubis. As of yet, we haven't really seen either team with Sombra coming out either, which has been such a big, impactful power play this season for the majority of teams. So definitely a lot in the back pocket that either of these two teams could sort of venture down.
If you're the Sydney Drop Bears, you've just played 2 mirror matches in a row. You've lost both of them. Do you continue to do that, or maybe?
I think so. Well, and here's my reasoning is because for Sydney Drop Bears, you can kind of look back at both of those rounds on Busan and say, well, we might have got a bit unlucky there, right? Round 1, you say, okay, maybe we had a disconnect, that last fight, who knows what could have happened. Lost 3 in a row, but to be fair, still, it's got a little bit of a caveat. And in the second one, Nyang doesn't get a single grab off. Like, if he gets one off there, you know, maybe that changes the whole course of the round
as well. It's a 99-99 round.
Without a Graviton search from Sydney Drop Bears. So they're close enough with some sort of little caveats there that I feel like Sydney Drop Bears might still feel confident enough to give this one another crack. I wouldn't mind seeing Nyang actually being on this Sombra. I definitely think that can work. Oceania we know is fairly solid on the
almost, but
Zaya as well.
Not enough.
Well, you're never going to get Addy in one shot.
No, you're not.
The Widow.
Unfortunately, that was not the target that they were hoping to find. Nevertheless, Mindfreak going to be coming out here on defense with a very traditional 3-3. Sydney Drop Bears, something similar, but of course, this Sombra, let's see what difference it will make.
Mindfreak need to recognize that it is going to be the Sombra Goats, which they should now be doing, and in that turn, then they need to be playing really aggressively and trying to take the 5v6 before Sydney Drop Bears are going to be able to get this EMP online. Up to 23% already is Nyang. And so far, Mindfreak haven't really been able to find any inroads in this battle, keeping Sydney Drop Bears at bay at the very least. But the longer this engagement lasts, the more time Nyang has to build up that EMP, and at that point, you consider that almost a lost fight for
Talking about
Mindfreak.
ultimate charge, Bus already up to 91% right now, Jordan.
Yeah, and I think this is where you have to put the pedal to the metal as Mindfreak. You really need to be trying to engage a fight.
Yeah, he's there. He's so very close as well. Yang's still only at 50% right now. I don't know if the Drop Bears would necessarily expect that this Earth Shatter is ready, but they definitely have to have it in the back of their minds for sure. Throws it through, hits Winter. That could be enough. It is enough to find just the one pick. Charges through, gets a second. Bust.
He actually got a crack with the charge as well. He must have clipped him on the side there and just done enough damage. That's really nice from Bust and exactly what Mindfreak needed to be doing. Sydney Drop Bears just trying to push the issue a little too early, but to be fair, in that sort of close and closed space, you are giving a lot of easy ult charge over to Mindfreak because you're so enclosed, so grouped up together. You can see Addy's already got a Graviton Surge. We already talked about how quickly Bust was able to build his Earth Shatter, but now it's a different situation. Now Sydney Drop Bears have got the EMP online, and Mindfreak are going to need to play around that.
They will need to be careful. The grab comes through. Who's it going to capture? Not sure, but Aki sitting in there with the Transcender. It's Addy the first one down. So the Drop Bears, I was going to say, have the advantages. It's a 1-4-1 trade. Sound Barrier is used by Mindfreak as well. The EMP also has gone out.
Dreamer threw a shatter in there that didn't hit anything, and so did Bust. So that's not gone too well for either Reinhardt. Bust really under some pressure here. Doesn't have any support that is going to keep him alive at that point, I don't think.
Of course, this defensive ultimate available for Fluoro, should it be required, not going to be needed right now. That's going to be very useful for them heading in to the second objective here. They'll get the capture on the board. They've only used, what, about 2.5 minutes to get through here, so that's not so bad.
Yeah, not too bad at all for Sydney Drop Bears. For Mindfreak, that was always going to be a lost fight as soon as Addy gets caught in that grab and goes down early on in the piece, especially considering Aki throws Trance in as well to try and save him and isn't able to do so. So 5v6 from the outset, Sydney Drop Bears, it was a war of attrition, and eventually they do win it, also saving the Sound Barrier through. It was nice. Dreamer had built the Earth Shatter.
Yeah, they had. There's the grab going to come through. Self-destruct going to be used as well. Aki just manages to get the Transcendence up in time as Yang goes down to Kiki self-destruct. And unfortunately for the Sydney Drop Bears, even though they have invested a little bit into this fight, they're not going to get out of perhaps what they were wanting. Not even 1/3 of the point will go their way.
It did force the Transcendence out from Aki, but maybe that isn't going to be as much of a factor as you would ordinarily think, because he's gone over onto Ana to provide a little bit more healing, obviously some more utility as well. I suppose Ana definitely is the better option when you don't have the Transcendence available in a situation like this. Sleep Dart could be huge, the Bionade could be huge, especially when you look at a Kraken having his Transcendence shortly. So,
well, this is the timeline right now. This is where the Drop Bears need to push through. They have a huge ultimate advantage. They're going to have this EMP ready to go as well. A Kraken going to be the only player with a support ultimate to work with, not including... Oh, that was pretty big. Not including, of course, the Rally, which I'm just assuming cancels each other out in this particular scenario. So as soon as a Kraken has that Transcendence, here we go. The engage is on. Yang ready to go with an EMP, throws it out, hits 4, including both of the players with ultimates here. Mindfreak getting destroyed by the Sydney Drop Bears right now on the point. Great use of ultimate, great work from the Sydney Drop Bears, and they're going to make the most of it.
Well, only so much you can do there as Mindfreak. Once the EMP hits a few players, the Earth Shatter is very easy to connect. Good work being done by Swilko to deny as much cap time as possible, but they're getting grabbed off the point. Bust hits a very nice shatter. Transcendence is going to be the answer from a Kraken, but he's charged away from the team, and now down comes the Graviton Surge. Once the Transcendence runs out, that's going to be the end for Sydney Drop Bears. Mindfreak will hold on.
97.2%, so close, yet so far away for the Sydney Drop Bears. You can see Kiki swapping across here to the May as well. We'll see how that one plays out. Still 2:50 on the clock to capture that last third of the point. Very much doable, but they would have loved to have got it done that last fight.
He does end up going back to base to swap off onto D.Va.
sad now.
So, yeah, I mean, I think you get a bit more value out of the D.Va in this situation. Obviously, no Graviton Surge to eat just yet, but sooner or later down the track, you probably do have that. Also, the space creation
Bionade
from the self-destruct. Yeah, the Bionade was good, but no kill comes from it, unfortunately. But that's the kind of thing that that's the kind of play you can make as Aki here.
Aki's going to have this nano boost ready as well. The EMP back up. This one's going to hit 4 once more, including Aki, who's not going to be able to use their ultimate just yet. Fluoro and Winter both find picks. This is going to be another tough fight for Mindfreak, and considering, Jordan, that they have to hold out only 1/3, it's going to be very tough right now. Sydney Drop Bears surely gets this one through.
Well, nano boost did come on through from Aki, which has bought a little bit more time for Mindfreak to get back on the point. Graviton Surge, no chance of an eat there, so Bus is straight back into the spawn room, unfortunately for him. Swilko dies pretty quickly after being hacked on up. Sydney Drop Bears will be successful in their offense on Temple of Anubis. Those EMPs toward the end really becoming a major issue for Mindfreak, and they're just not able to play around it. They consistently had 4 or 5 players getting caught in those EMPs and then followed up with a Shatter or a Grav or whatever.
It always seemed to be the players who had the ultimates they needed to defend those particular fights. So the Sydney Drop Bears coming through with pretty much the same team comp the whole way through, working for them. Maybe took a little bit longer than it needed to on the first point, and then the second point, they definitely could have found themselves an extra minute in the bank, but 1:40 on the clock, definitely nothing to sneeze at. For Mindfreak G now, a little bit of pressure on, perhaps.
Yeah, 1:40 and the time bank for Sydney Drop Bears is nothing to scoff at, so that'll be in the back of the minds of Mindfreak. And I wonder if they do continue with the 3-3 composition. It did not look particularly fun going up against the Sombra Goats with it. But say the longer that you play against that composition, the more you kind of get used to it, get more aware of what is going to be the play for Sydney Drop Bears. So I guess in this particular case, it's not as relevant given that Sydney Drop Bears are on the 3-3. But if they pull out the Sombra 3-3 setup, Mindfreak are going to need to be prepared for that.
Dreamer going to be on the Winston instead of the Reinhardt we saw from Bus. We see this a little bit, of course, in the assault maps. Jordan gives you a good opportunity, perhaps, to get that Primal Rage up and running nice and quickly.
Typically, if you're going to be with that Winston on the first point of assault, you do have the Ana there as well, just to provide the nano boost early as well. But for Dreamer, it is still a pretty good opportunity to get some really nice early cleave damage, obviously with that Tesla cannon. Oh, that's a bit dangerous. Does get out okay. Only 22 built up, which is not a huge amount here.
No, needs
Mindfreak making some good progression.
Oh, going to get a bit boot off as well, so we'll see how much more we can get, 32%.
Oh, this is good stuff from Mindfreak though. They're being relatively unharassed on their progression to the point. And once they get onto the point, once they force that brawl, when Sydney Drop Bears have to drop down into the range of the hammer, it's not going to be a fight that Sydney Drop Bears are going to be particularly keen on taking.
No, you can see now they've already managed to find themselves the high ground here, overlooking objective A. C, when they can start this brawl. There we go, on to the point they go. Aki going to sit back and try and heal from a bit of a safe distance. Dreamer down to 50% HP as Mindfreak get close to that first third. Dreamer going to drop back down now. Try and make life tough, but you can see the stun coming out from August, and well, it's almost enough. Kiki going to go down, but Shoyo is found out there by Aki. It's a 1-for-1 trade in the way of the Divas, but I think Shoyo would have loved to have been there with the self-destructor. Kraken and Aki both popping Transcendence's Bust, sitting here with the Shatter. With the Shatter comes through, finds 2. Winnie goes down, Yang goes down, and now Mindfreak looking pretty good to capture this point.
I don't know where Kiki was going. He must have been coming back from the fight, actually. It took him a lot longer than I thought it would. Such a clutch little interaction there for Mindfreak. Was August getting the rally up just in time to save himself. And eventually, I think it was Aki that was next to him as well that was really low on HP. Helps him being able to survive through just to get the Transcendence off, but another second there on that rally, or a couple of seconds maybe, in the difference for Sydney Drop Bears holding it. But now we've got a really imposing time actually from Mindfreak, pushing straight into point B. Graviton Surge available, self-destruct nearby, sound barriers there.
That was a lot of tools. That was the first fight victory as well coming out from Mindfreak. It took a little while, but they played it smartly.
Look at what Sydney Drop Bears is using. They don't have anything. They don't grab. Self-destruct is going to be useful, sure. So is the sound barrier, but
it's going to be very tough. Self-destruct comes through. Sound barrier is used by the Drop Bears. No one goes down for the moment on either side. Swilko drops the beat for himself. A Kraken and Aki both going to be waiting, but with Nyang out and Dreamer very low. See ya later. A Kraken uses the Transcendence, but it comes up just a second too late. Shoyo almost demeched also. Aki keeping his team alive, and Bus going to be sitting here with a big fat shatter.
I don't know if he's going to need the big fat shatter, Ben.
Throw it out, Bus. We're ready. Just throw it through. Boom.
Yeah, they couldn't even get on the point. That is a fantastic take from Mindfreak, playing that one to absolute perfection. Self-destruct, catching Yang, a major asset, and that's not really what you want to see at all. Your Xayah going down to a self-destruct.
Yeah.
Xayah is one of the safest heroes that can kind of play against it because of the personal bubble, but somehow Nyang gets caught, and obviously from there the fight kind of snowballs in itself with Aki and a Kraken both investing their Transcendence. Unfortunately for a Kraken, his was half a second too late to save the second player that went down, and it was kind of cancelled out by Aki's Transcendence. So definitely a very scary time there. I mean, we were talking about maybe some pressure on Mindfreak. Certainly not looking like it at this point. It's really flipped right back on its head.
Great. For me, the big surprise here, of course, is that Mindfreak had 2 fights, and they won both fights. And after each fight, they captured an objective. And that's you can't do much better than that, to be honest. You have to question, as the pause comes out, whether the choice to play the Winston was the right choice or not. They played the Winston, but then they essentially allowed Mindfreak free reign to get there. Yes, they made it a little bit tough, but they got there, they lost no one, they got to the high ground, and then they engaged. It was really very simple.
And that's the important thing, isn't it? Is because Mindfreak was able to get so close to the point without really feeling too harassed at all, without losing a player, and without giving up too much ult charge over to the Winston. It means Primal Rage isn't really available in the early stages of that fight. You can't break the Mindfreak Brawl kind of composition apart, and when they're able to stay clumped up, which admittedly I kind of felt like Mindfreak did actually split a little bit on point A, but they made it work, getting the 1-for-1 trade for Kiki, and keeping their supports alive, where it did look like Aki was going to go down very nearly. But they were able to sort of survive for long enough, such that, you know, sooner or later that Reinhardt is going to start out-damaging the Winston, particularly when you're getting an Earth Shatter down, and it's much more difficult to block the Earth Shatter as a Winston than it is as a Reinhardt. So it was kind of just a case of the longer this fight goes, the better it's going to get for Mindfreak, and inevitably it did. And they find themselves with a massive, massive snowball lead heading into the time banks, which sits them quite substantially. 3.5-minute lead advantage.
Yeah, it's actually quite odd, right, in the sense that it felt like the Earth Shatter came up only mere seconds after the Primal Rage was available, which is not usually what you would expect to see in that particular setup. Now the Sydney Drop Bears attacking once more. They're going to be running the same setup. It's going to be exactly what we saw. No, was Aki playing Arno the first time around?
No, I think he was playing Zenyatta.
Yeah.
If you remember, it was Addy that got caught on the Graviton Surge, and Aki tried to save him with Trance.
First time around as well, Bus had quite a bit of luck here.
It's going to happen again. He's at 42% already. 64 now with that Fire Strike that goes through.
Yeah.
So the danger for Sydney Drop Bears of playing in a position like that, but they do get out a lot quicker. That's going to force Mindfreak back away to the point, because Bus's shield is very low.
Get a lot of damage out from the left click here on the Sombra as well, more than what you might think. The hat coming out to Kiki doesn't go down, somehow manages to stay alive. Aki going to be coming through as well, with potentially a very much required nano boost, but that EMP is there. Nano boost comes out, EMP comes across. They've already lost Kiki. A Kraken with the Transcendence now. Only 4 make that 3, make that 2 alive for Mindfreak. The Drop Bears not making mistakes this time around. They'll capture Objective A and have about a minute to try and make the second objective work.
That's a much more confident push from Sydney Drop Bears, and the big difference is that Nyang is able to build his EMP a lot quicker in that one as well, which is really what Sydney Drop Bears needed, although they would have loved to have saved it through to this second point. It's a difficult take now for Sydney Drop Bears here when a Kraken's used Transcendence. We haven't seen the support ultimate come out from Swilko just yet for Mindfreak, so it's even in that respect. The Nano Boost, is going to be built a lot quicker.
Shatter! Huge Shatter! Absolutely huge! Somehow Dreamer manages to get in underneath the shield there of Bus, and this is going to be very costly for Mindfreak G. It's a 1-for-1 trade for now. Kiki hacked up again. Should get demeched. No, it won't happen. The beat dropped by Fluoro. Still sticks alive. The EMP once more comes through. Is this going to be enough to get the drop bears across the line?
I think it might be. August, however, is surviving. Kiki finds Dreamer, and I might have spoken too soon.
Oh, no.
The Bionate does go through, collects onto Nyang, although he's not seeming to be the focus of fire, and this Transcendence is keeping everyone alive for the moment, but a Kraken, he's going to be found by Kiki, and there's not really too much you can do in this situation as a Zenyatta. Sooner or later, you're going to get chased down, and he does indeed.
Well, close, but no cigar here for the Sydney Drop Bears. They will not be able to find themselves that first third.
Well, was a great sound barrier coming down from Swilko as well. I mean, it was a fantastic shatter, but an equally great sound barrier to keep Mindfreak alive there. If Swilko doesn't get his sound barrier down, or if he gets hit by that shatter, it's over. It's a straight-up cap for Sydney Drop Bears. But in fact, actually, they don't even get a single tick onto point B, which it really looked like they were going to be able to do for a moment there. And with 5 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock for Mindfreak, you kind of have to back them still to finish this map off. That would be a pretty heroic hold from Sydney Drop Bears if they were to keep this to, well, less than a tick on point B. Of course, we could still see a draw, but given how fast Mindfreak was able to cap out initially,
it would be surprising.
Would be.
That's for sure. Though, look, it would have also been surprising if the Sydney Drop Bears had come out and got Objective A, then Objective B, and done so in actually a time that would have been quicker than what Mindfreak did the first time around, when Mindfreak, to be fair, did pretty well. They got that then, they had, what, a minute 40 the first time. So it would have been like 2 minutes and 10 seconds they would have used to capture both points. So this time that Mindfreak has left, I think they must have used, what, 2.5? Not that much, to be fair, 240, 250. So either way.
Certainly not 5 minutes.
No, not indeed. They could probably capture it twice almost, with the amount of time they've got remaining. Let's see if they can do it once though, Elfishguy.
That's the same setup on the defense from Sydney Drop Bears. We look to Dreamer to try to build the Primal Rage a little bit earlier. This time he's going to drop from above, well, up to 25%. That's 3% more than what he got in that position last time.
All right, we're doing the exact... Dreamer is
exact
playing
same thing,
the exact same role in the exact same positions, just by the looks of things, doing it a little bit better as he goes down to 45 HP. He saved just in the nick of time there. That was very, very close.
He didn't get booped away this time, so back up to 50% already, and that immediately is a bit more of a concern for Mindfreak.
Yeah, Bus, remember last time, managed to get the Earth Shatter up just after the Primal Rage was there. This time, only 15% as they push down onto the point. Dreamer pushed back, no Primal Rage as yet. Looking to take that first third. Dreamer still very low, good heals coming through. Still not enough time, however, to get this Primal Rage. This is the time we're looking to find it, 90% ever closer. Is this the last attempt? There we go, 99. Primal Rage available, goes out to 1-for-1 trade. Both rigs are gone. Addy and Kiki still alive somehow as Dreamer goes down. Kiki will be demech, but still pushing on the point 2/3 of the way through. Mindfreak G getting ever closer. A Kraken will push his way back onto the point behind his ultimate, as will Swilko. Aki pops his also. Now that's every support ultimate has been used. The thing for me, though, John, between Kiki and Addy and Bus, surely this is over.
It certainly is. Fluoro doesn't have the sound barrier up in time. Dreamer, I feel like the Primal Rage just came up a little bit too late. It was at the cost of Winter. Winter went down before Primal Rage, and sure, there was a trade back the way of Mindfreak, but it just was not quite enough to keep Sydney Drop Bears alive in that one, and probably not enough to buy the amount of time that you would think that they might have a chance here on point B. 4 minutes for Mindfreak to cap this one out.
Grab, double self-destruct. How many people are going to die? It's going to be 4, but most of them are on the Drop Bear side of the field. Now that Mindfreak only need 1/3 of this point, they are very close to going to put themselves 2-0 up, heading into half-time. They will be on match point.
Yeah, they will. It's a little unfortunate for Sydney Drop Bears, the way that this one has gone, but they just have not shown that same consistency that Mindfreak have been able to do. Still, Trickle is in effect, so let's not call it too soon. The May in there can be very annoying for Mindfreak to deal with. Eventually, it will go down. Shoyo jumping around on the Reaper as well. Not sure what he's really hoping to do in a situation like this, apart from buy as much time as possible. Aki with the Transcendence in here, which, you know, it sort of seems like a bit of a loose ultimate that he's just thrown in there, but to try and keep people alive, maybe it's worth it. said that, Nyang able to find a pick, and that's what you need to do in a trickle situation like this.
Surely it is only a matter of time. We'll see how many picks, though, the Sydney Drop Bears can get. Close but no cigar. Mindfreak going to find themselves with 2 more ultimates on the board used. That one's certainly going to help clear. You can still see, 3 players. The thing for Mindfreak now is they need to do a better job of clearing this out.
That is huge. Bus going down, Aki going down. That means your main tank's out of the picture. Means everyone else is going to be taking more damage. And also a healer dropping. It's going to be the turnaround from Sydney Drop Bears. That just was not clean enough from Mindfreak from the outset. And as soon as
How is that even possible?
Well, as soon as the initial pick comes out from the Doomfist, I think it was onto August.
It was.
The Brigitte goes down, you think, okay, now there's a world in which Sydney Drop Bears with this trickle actually can find the numbers advantage. If you continue to find picks, that's all you need to be doing. It sounds so easy, I guess, when I'm putting it into context like this, but
that's the sort of stuff that happens in the games I play.
Yeah. You need to have a lot cleaner of an attack than that as Mindfreak.
Yep.
And now look at Sydney Drop Bears ult economy.
Yeah, they have so much to work with here. Yang sitting on the Doomfist still now has that Meteor Strike available. Going to throw that down. Finds 2. Nice clean wipe coming out from the Sydney Drop Bears. And what was looking like almost certainly a Mindfreak victory, we'd already called it. Well, I had. And somehow, I don't want to say that... I'm not even going to use the word. I'm not going to use it. But it's not the result.
Banana.
Yeah.
How close was I?
No.
Okay. Well, Mindfreak do at least have time for one more fight here where they can build ultimates, which is going to be pretty important because Addy, he's got a long way to go with that Graviton Surge. I wonder what we see the investment actually from Mindfreak being in this particular fight. If it's not a big investment, I think that's really good actually because they can come in for the final attempt, maybe with even 6 ultimates. But will be thrown in, which leads me to believe the rest should probably be thrown in from Mindfreak as well. Sound barrier drawn out from Fluoro.
Shatter comes through. Nice Shatter, very, very nice. But the Blizzard comes through. Nyang has gone down to Bust. Can they follow up with more? Here's the Self-Destruct looking for kills. Not going to find any. Winter playing a very difficult little position there to get the Mei out of in that hidey hole. That's for sure. They need to clean up the Mei very quickly if they want to do something. Mindfreak still with players on the point. The Drop Bears obviously going to be coming through with the spawn as Aki goes down. That's not what Mindfreak wants to see. However, 2 more in their favor will definitely help. Nyang surely goes down in this situation. Slowly but surely they do manage to find the Doomfist. Another Shatter. That's going to hit Addy. Swilko drops the beat. Addy still has that ultimate to work with. Bus will also. As we run out of time here on the clock, this is clearly the last fight, Jordan. Mindfreak need to clean them up now.
They're trying their best, man. It's just difficult against a composition like this. Sooner or later, you have to think this one is going to be it. It is a much cleaner looking fight for the Mindfreak guys, and Sydney Drop Bears unfortunately finally going to fade away. Mindfreak, now you can say it, Ben. Now they're on match point.
I'd
now
already
they're up 2-0.
written the score down like 3 minutes ago.
It was a bit too close for comfort, I'll give you that for Mindfreak. But that final fight lasts long enough that they get the grav up, they get the self-destruct up, they pretty much get everything up. And well, Sydney Drop Bears just not able to find the picks that they were in the initial trickle situation. This time, Mindfreak, well, they figured it out. They've decided, you know what, we're not going to be throwing this map away when, you know, it could have been potentially a draw there for Sydney Drop Bears.
I was going to use the choke word, by the way, but glad I didn't use it because they didn't, but they almost did. That would have been a very different story heading into half-time where how do you even not come back from that, but it can certainly rattle a team knowing...
it would eat away at you.
Yes, it would be upsetting.
You would be saying, you know, we could have been up 2-0 against Sydney Drop Bears and only up 1-0, which still is an advantage, but who knows what can happen when we get onto the next couple of maps in the second half. Way, way too close for comfort for Mindfreak, but end of the day, they have again consistently proven that they're the stronger side in this matchup. When they've been playing the 3-3 in particular, they have actually been able to get the wins over Sydney Drop Bears to such an extent that even toward the end there, you did see Sydney Drop Bears. They had to swap onto Trickle Champs, and they ended up staying on the Trickle Champs as well. You know, you saw the Mei in there, we saw the Doomfist a lot. So I do sort of think that Mindfreak is getting under the skin a little bit of Sydney Drop Bears. They're kind of forcing them off their comfort pick, and that is where we're going to see Sydney Drop Bears now start to struggle a little bit because, well, Mindfreak, they get to continue playing 3-3, which is, generally speaking, the standard meta composition. And if you can make that work better than your opponent, then obviously that's a massive advantage.
And the thing for me, right, is that it often feels like, particularly for teams like the Drop Bears, that Sombra Goat should work better up against an opponent that you theoretically are better than. Particularly when we saw so many fights get You know, they're almost over before they began on the back of really good EMPs. One ultimate turns it around time and time again, and no disrespect to Sombra players, but it's not the hardest ultimate to hit half of the enemy team, right?
Well, especially in a composition that is such a close composition like the 3-3.
You walk in, you see, where's the Brigitte? Oh, nowhere near me, no worries. I just mash Q until I come out of stealth, wait half a second, and then it goes off, right?
Yep.
I assume that's
so
how
easy.
you play it. It seems easy when you say it like that. Obviously, it's not simple, but you should be hitting those, and they did. But even with that, they still didn't come out on top.
Well, that's right, and credit to Mindfreak, obviously, for knowing how to play around it, knowing how to take those advantages. Now they put themselves in such a strong, kind of commanding position.
It is.
Like, we sort of thought, okay, well, Mindfreak, they didn't look so good last week against Warriors. Now Sydney Drop Bears are not looking so good against Mindfreak. And
what a world.
For this season so far, Mindfreak has been like a top 4 contender. Sydney Drop Bears has been, I think we sort of have loosely put them in the top 4 in a way. But now that has to change again, because it's like, okay, well, does Sydney Drop Bears really deserve to be in that discussion? We don't really know. There's so many teams that are like beating each other when you wouldn't really expect it, that the standing is going to be
cats and
crazy.
Dogs living together. This is crazy town right now. Mindfreak, G, 2-0 up against the Sydney Drop Bears. We're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, Mindfreak going to be with match point.